there are mainly two kinds of loneliness and two different causes. One is reactive loneliness, which is our reaction to a given situation. For instance, moving to another country, to another city, somebody dear to us is deceased, we're losing something very important for us, or our relationship, including intimate relationship, is severed. The other kind of loneliness is essential loneliness, and that is loneliness that goes back to the early days of us on the planet, and that is intertwined in the person's personality. And therefore, it really doesn't matter much how the world reacts to that person will almost always feel lonely. And the only way of dealing with it is to go for psychotherapy. So people who are lonely walk around feeling terrible, feeling neglected, rejected, unwanted, unloved, ignored, and they would love to change it, and many of them cannot. What happens later on is that they may become bitter and angry and start to scream out their loneliness. And in that way, other people will know that they're lonely, but their behavior may push other people away. Research has shown that loneliness is correlated to poor sleeping. It's correlated to depression, although it is not depression, but it is correlated to depression. It is associated with dementia, and it's also associated with poor health. And we see that in the older segment of the population, where even if a person doesn't care that much about his physical health and doesn't take care to take medications, for instance, if he has friends around, they will make sure that he does. They will remind him. They will bring him the meds from the pharmacy. Being with other people is very important, not just for our mental health, but for our survival itself. The most important thing about dealing with loneliness is to admit, first of all, to ourselves that we're lonely. So coming to someone who is very lonely and saying, "Hey, buddy, how are you? I'm with you," it's not going to work. I think that the first step is to acknowledge and to help them acknowledge that they're really lonely and that they're suffering, and then to talk a bit about it and to ask how are they suffering and to ask whether they want to get out of that situation. Now, I believe that 100% of the people will say yes. I just don't know how to, and maybe I tried before and I don't believe that it's possible, but I do want to do it. The second step is to help them understand that there is nothing that they cannot do. They may not know how to do it, but they can do it. And many people simply tried and they don't believe anymore that they can. And to them, I tell the story about the Indian farmer who once received as a present a young elephant, a small, tiny elephant. And when he used to go to the farm to tend the farm, he would tie the elephant to a pole in the ground. And the elephant didn't like it and tried very much to get free, and he couldn't. And after a while, the elephant got used to the fact that he is tied up and he cannot do anything. And then he grew up and he became very, very strong and powerful, but he never tried to set himself free because he knew that he just can't. And many times, people who are lonely behave in the same way. Well, I tried, I can't, nobody loves me, I'm unlovable, I don't know what to do. So, one of the stages in helping is to make them aware that just because you tried before doesn't mean that you cannot succeed.